Okay, we're going to do quadratic formula, and this is it. Minus b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. So what the heck is this thing and what does it do? That tells us what our two roots are. Okay, x means the roots. Or, what's the other word for that? X-intercepts, or on our calculator, it's called a zero. Okay, this guy can tell us what they are. If we get something that's not easy to factor, we can use this, as well as our graphing calculator, to solve for the roots. So let's say we have a quadratic like that. Okay. If that's factorable, that's probably the quickest way to find out what the roots are. Okay, and if it's not factorable, we can still use our graphing calculator to find the roots. But on the test, if it says use the quadratic formula, I can't give you full marks if you don't use this to do it. Okay, it's part of the curriculum. It has to get taught. So, what is all this A, B, and C stuff? Every quadratic is in this form. And if it's not, you need to put it in that form. That's what the A, B, and C mean here. Okay? There's an A, there's a C, there's B, there's another B. It has to look like this. If it doesn't, you have to rearrange it so that it does. Once you do that, the first thing you want to do is label what is A. A is the coefficient of the x squared term. What is it here? There's nothing there. So it must be a 1. What's B for this quadratic? B is 3. And C is 2. Do this every time. It will help eliminate some errors when you just try to look at this and put it in there. Okay? So first, make sure your quadratic is in this form. Write down A, B, and C. And the next step is you need to substitute. Okay? Everything into this formula. So x is minus, what's b? 3, plus or minus, that's what gives us our two different roots. Okay, there's two numbers. Remember, if this thing crosses the x-axis, there's two roots here. That's what this plus or minus does, is give us two different values. Okay, b squared, that's 3 squared minus 4 times, when you substitute, use brackets, A is 1, C is 2. Make sure this radical completely covers the whole thing. You don't want to do this. Okay, that's not correct. Has to go across everything, all over 2A. All right, again, don't just do this. That's not correct. The whole thing is over 2A. Okay, I'm going to make my page a bit bigger. So, next step, simplify it down as much as you can. Negative 3, can't do anything with that, plus or minus, but under the radical sign, what can I do with this? That's 9, 3 squared, okay, minus what? 4 times 1 is 4 times 2 is 8. All over 2 times, oh, I never substituted there, A is 1. Okay, keep working her down, minus 3 plus or minus, what is 9 minus 8? It's 1. What's the square root of 1? 1, okay, over 2 times 1 is 2. That's about as far as I can take it. Now, like I said, this is two different values. Okay, the first value is minus 3 plus 1 over 2. And the second value, the second root, is minus 3 minus 1 over 2. There's two different numbers here. That's what our two roots are. What is minus 3 plus 1? Minus 2 over 2. So one root is negative 1. Okay, whoop. The other root is, that's minus 4 over 2. That's minus 2. Okay, that's what my two roots are. minus 1, and minus 2. But I hope if you got this thing, okay, you would think to yourself, what multiplies to 2 and adds to 3? What two numbers? 2 and 1 do. And you would factor this. Okay, my two numbers are 2 and 1. Where is this thing 0? When x is minus 1. When is this 0? When x is minus 2. So this parabola actually looks like this. Minus 1, minus 2. Okay, it opens up because it's positive. I don't know exactly the shape here, but that's pretty much what it looks like. Those are the two zeros. Minus 1 and minus 2. Factoring's definitely easier. Okay? But like I said, sometimes we're going to give you something you can't factor. That's when we use quadratic formula. Let's look at one more example. Okay, one that isn't in a nice form. Let's give you this guy. 2 minus x is 2x squared. Solve using quadratic formula. I'll abbreviate. Alright? Like I said, everything has to be in this form. If it's not, well, what's A? Okay? What's B? What's C? It has to look like that. So you got a couple of choices. Do I bring this guy over to here, make it negative, or do I bring these two over to this side? We usually want to keep this guy as positive. Okay? It won't matter as far as the roots go. One is going to be positive. Okay, I got two roots. If I bring the 2x over to here, I got minus 2x squared. That's going to make it flip over the x-axis and be negative. So it'll look like that. But the roots stay the same. Okay? As far as just solving it, it doesn't make a difference. But let's keep that positive. So let's bring 2 over to there. Let's subtract 2 to both sides. While we're at it, let's bring x over there. Let's add x to both sides. Over here I have 0. And then I want it in order of descending x power. Okay, x squared, x to the 1 power, x to the 0 power, which is just 1. So we don't even write that. Okay, that's how I want this. 2x squared plus x minus 2. Now it looks like this. Now I want to write down what is A, that's 2. What is B, 1, and C is negative 2 this time. Okay? Let's rewrite this guy. I actually had to memorize this in grade 11 back when I was in school. And we didn't have graphing calculators to solve this either. Did I know what I was doing with this thing back then? No. But I got the answers. Okay? Minus 1. That's what B is. Plus or minus square root of b squared, 1 squared, that's just 1, minus 4 times a times c, make sure that comes over everything, all over 2 times a, 2 times 2. Okay? Simplifier. Keep going. I got minus 1, plus or minus, what's all this stuff? Sometimes it's helpful to just look at the sign here, okay? You got 3 numbers. I got a negative times a positive times a negative. I know that's a positive. I know I'm going to add this to 1, okay? Don't just assume you're going to subtract something. What is 1 plus 4 times 2 times 2? 4 times 2 is 8, times 2 is 16. But like I said, this is positive 16. So that's 1 plus 16. Okay? Which is the square root of 17. Over 2 times 2 is 4. So if you know what the square root of it is, great, you write it. Okay? If it's a perfect square, you just want to write the number. If you don't know what this is, if it's not a perfect square, you leave it like this. Don't make it a decimal. We want it as an exact answer. That's as far as I can simplify this. So my two roots are minus 1 plus root 17 over 4 and minus 1 minus root 17 over 4. Okay? That's how we want it left. Fully simplified. That's an exact answer. As soon as you put that in a calculator and find out what it is, it's not exact anymore. It's a decimal approximation. Okay, that's the two roots. Let's just for fun see what the heck that means. Okay, what's my quadratic? There it is. I'm going to plug that in. I'm going to go 2x, whoop, that's not where I plug it in. I'm going to plug it in there. 2x squared plus x plus, whoop, minus 2. Okay, I can graph this guy. Looks like there's two zeros. I can find out what one of them is. Okay, let's do the right one. I want to go left of that 0, enter. I want to go right of it, enter. Looks like that 0 is bound by my two arrows. Guess, yes please, Mr. Texas Instruments. Tell me what the 0 is. 0.78. Okay, doesn't look factorable, does it? No. All right, one of the roots I know is 0.78. What do you suppose this is? Any guesses? Clear? What is negative 1 plus the square root of 17 divided by 4? Hey, what a surprise, eh? That's exactly what this is. That's the same value. That is the 0. This is a decimal approximation to the hundredth spot. That's it as an exact answer. Okay? So, if you don't know how to do quadratic formula, can you use your calculator and figure it out and cheat? No, you can't. Because there's no way you're going to make this 0.78 look like this thing. Okay? So like I said, if I'm asking you to do it with quadratic formula, you got to do it using the formula. You have to show the answer as an exact answer. Alright, so page 427, we did 1, 2, and 3 A, B, C yesterday. Today we're going to add 4, 5, 6, just A, B, and number 10 you can do without a graphing calculator, or sorry, you can do that with a graphing calculator. All of these guys, you better use quadratic formula, okay? Or you won't be able to get the marks on the test.